Are you tired of receiving spam calls and messages? Are you one of those who have DND or Do Not Disturb feature turned on, but are not sure if it's effective enough? Well, looks like things are about to change. Indian Telecom regulator is cracking down hard on spammers with new stricter rules. Telecom operators are now required to actively monitor calls and SMS patterns. They're required to flag any suspicious activity to the telecom department. This includes activities like unusually high call volumes, low incoming to outgoing call ratios, and short call durations. Misreporting this will result in a hefty fine. The fine will escalate with each subsequent violation. Now, according to the new rules, the initial fine has been set at 2 lakh rupees, that's around $2,300, and the maximum penalty is 10 lakh rupees, that's approximately $11,000. Now, the idea is to create a less intrusive and more consumer-friendly telecom environment. And to identify potential spammers in real time, the new rules will also make it easier to report those annoying calls and texts. All you have to do is report the spam to your telecom provider, post which they are required to take action against the scammer within the next 5 days. As opposed to the previous rule of 30 days, spotting spam calls will also be simpler. Telemarketers can no longer use regular 10-digit numbers. Instead, promotional calls will start with the 140 number series, while important service and transaction calls will use the new 1600 series. In other words, the Telecom Authority has made it mandatory for telecom providers to offer customers the option to opt out of promotional messages. However, users can of course opt in if they want to. Meanwhile, repeat spam offenders will have their telecom services suspended by their providers altogether. This means no calls, no texts, nothing. Now, the telecom regulator has also introduced specific headers for different types of messages to make it easy for the consumer to know what kind of a message they've received. And lastly, telemarketers are now required to disclose the use of robocalls and ensure transparency in all forms of communication. So with these new rules, the telecom regulator is putting consumers back in control. It remains to be seen how effective these regulations will be and whether they will be effectively enforced. Hopefully, these changes can mean fewer unwanted calls and texts for all of us. For latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.